With their stiff upper lips and quirky English wit, it's easy to see why it's taken time for the Americans to warm to Blur. But with a back-to-basics approach and a new rootsier sound, success stateside could be easier this time around.
What a fantastic day.
Joining us in studio next, a band called Blur. So happy to have them with us. They have a sold-out show tonight at the Palace in Hollywood. After a much publicized and lengthy rivalry with Oasis, they took some time out, did a fantastic job on their brand new release, which is simply called Blur.
I mean, quietly we've been building up a really big following here without sort of any help from anybody. We've been getting to radio stations and people know our names, which is a novelty. You know, they usually think Graham's a singer or something.
It's a nationwide deal, so we gotta go. Chef from the company says it'll be alright.
We'd work our butts off, right? And you know, we'd never really get anywhere here. In America, you have to rock, really. Well, we've always rocked live. That's why we've built up such a strong live following. But we've never demonstrated to the public at large that we can rock. You know, we've always come across as these kind of awkward, arrogant, faggy, English bonces. It's me sort of becoming a headbanger for that minute 58 seconds that the song lasts. And I think everyone can deal with one minute 58 seconds of headbanging in their life, and I think it's good. We're all prepared to be Francis Rossi, God bless him. It feels like we're working towards something as opposed to just sort of treading water. I think we're all going in a similar direction now. It's not such, we're not off on ridiculous tangents all the time.
It may seem like Blur have been out of the limelight this year, but in America, they've been anything but. After years of trying, they've finally cracked the US market, which is enough to cheer anyone up. Even Damon. Surely. Damon.
Hello.
Are you happy at the moment?
I'm not happy today because I've just found a huge cockroach in my room, and you're staying in a better hotel than me.
This is meant to be the best hotel in New York.
No. That's rubbish.
The last time we spoke was at the filming of the Country House video, and I got the sense that maybe you weren't as happy then as you are now. Would that be fair to say?
It was a weird time in Britain where the music got very insular and we all got, you know, very carried away with the idea of sort of British music taking over the world and stupid things like that, you know.
But was that something that you were probably responsible for?
In part, yeah. But I mean, it all seems a bit kind of ludicrous to me now and juvenile.
By the time Country House hit #1 in 1995, Britpop was rife and Blur were its greatest exponents.
In the country, in the country, in the country.
But it hadn't always been like this. When Blur first came on the scene in 1990, they were an indie band through and through. and the Benny Hill references were kept to a minimum. A couple of years on, and you wouldn't recognise them, Blur had gone through their first reinvention. They were now quirky social commentators, and Britpop was born.
Part Life and Greatscape were very much concepts in themselves. Those records were not really about how great the country was, or even sort of how quirky and interesting our culture was. It was quite an attack on everything.
You surprised me when you said it, because I thought it was like a celebration of Britain rather
Not at all, not at all. I mean, both albums were having a real go at sort of British life, and sort of me having a go at myself as well, and having a go at people that I knew, and just having a go, basically.
It was clear Blur were cleverer than most. Damon was even on Radio 4 with Ned Sherrin.
Now, the return of young Mr. Albarn of Blur. The band has been nominated for several trophies at Monday's Brit Awards.
This is the next century where the universal's free.
The mix of pop star and intellectual was starting to take its toll on Damon.
I was very screwed up. I think I was just sort of being somebody that you know, that I couldn't sustain being. I think that's sort of enough to screw anyone up, really.
Karaoke songs.
And was that feeling shared with other members of the band?
Well, I think they got screwed up because they were having to sort of, you know, mop up after this sort of lunatic that was just sort of doing all these ridiculous things.
Days they seem to fall through you, well, just let them go.
How close did the band come to splitting up around that time?
Well, I was going. I don't know about everyone else, but I was going.
But did you actually ever say to the others that that's it, you've had enough, you can't deal with it?
I said to Dave and Alex I'd had enough of Graham. But I never said to Graham, I've had enough of you.
But did you actually...
But that's got a lot to do with just being on tour and working too hard. I think every band at the end of a world tour hates each other, really, to some degree.
1997 heralded a new album and a new lease of life. Where other Britpop bands could be accused of repeating themselves, Blur had clearly moved on.
Beetlebum, what you done? She's a girl. Now what you done? Beetlebum, get nothing done.
When we started out in sort of 1988, 89, that's how we sounded. We didn't sound as good as that, but that was sort of what the band intended to be. And then we went off on another sort of line of thought for 5 years. And then...
Now, talk me through the kind of process between The Great Escape and then the Blur album. I mean, a lot of people talk about the new album in terms of a kind of, these aren't my words, but a flirtation with American music.
Well, I mean, it's a weird thing here. I mean, we've always had a sort of a strong cult following here.
And when she lets me slip away.
To get any further in America, if you're a foreign band, which is what we are here, you need to have a record that gets played a lot on the radio and gets played a lot on MTV and that.
How much of a priority has America been to you over the last 6 months?
Well, we're spending more time here than anywhere else at the moment. I suppose it is a priority, really.
All I wanna be is washed out by the sea. No Death Star over me.
Morning Becomes Eclectic on KCRW. Blur appearing tonight in live performance at the Palace in Hollywood. Actually, on this track that we just heard, there are 4 drum kits playing, is that right?
Yeah, it's just me and Dave bashing on drums.
Just bashing away.
And then we rewound it and had another track and bashed on drums again.
So you say you wanted it to be a bit scary.
I think it's good to be scared by music. I was scared by music. I know when I was 4, I was listening to Strawberry Fields Forever and stuff and wondering what the hell it was about.
Yeah, I Am the Walrus, that's...
Yeah, scary, man.
Now, this simplicity that you were going back to, this sort of back to basics approach on this new album, was it scary for you guys to sort of peel off all the shellac and get down to it and trust the instincts?
I don't know, really. I think we were so kind of angry, really. We didn't think about that. You know, it was really an act of survival for us, you know. The main thing was that we just didn't seem to relate to any of the bands in Britain, and at least in America there was there was still some intelligence in the music. It's become very hip to be an idiot in England. I'm free to be an idiot.
You guys were listening to Beck and Pavement, I understand, and some other American bands.
I mean, the first time I actually heard Beck was someone gave me a cassette of his session with you.
She's got a cigarette on each arm. She's got the lily white cavity quasars. She's got a carburetor tied to the moon. Pink eyes looking to the fruit of the ages. She's alone in the new pollution. She's alone in the new pollution. A shady lane, everybody wants one. A shady lane, everybody needs one. Oh my God, 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 oh your God, oh his God, oh her God. It's everybody's God, it's everybody's God, it's everybody's God, it's everybody's God. The worlds collide, but all that we want is a shady lane. Holy man tiptoes his way across the Ganges. The sound of magic music in his ears. Radioed by a bus, load of tourists. Shiny shell suits on and drinking lemonade.
Now, you've known Graham since you were at school.
Yeah, since he was 11.
Do you find that your friendship has developed into almost like a business relationship?
Not at all. I wish it was like that, you know, sometimes, because it would make everything so much easier. But when you've known someone that long, you can't help but be upset if they're upset and happy if they're happy, you know. If I'd known him another 11 years, he'd be my brother.
So take me home, don't leave me alone. I'm not that good, but I'm not that bad. I'm psycho killer, hooligan gorilla. I dream to ride, oh you should try it. I read the road, you go outside. My joy of life is on the road, and we'll all be the same in the end. 'Cause then you're on your own.
Where previous American tours have provoked a definite stay-at-home policy with audiences, this year they've been out in droves. Was it a cathartic experience writing that album after what you did before?
Absolutely. I think for everyone in the band it was. From beginning to end, that's all we were sort of setting out to do.
Do you think you've alienated a part of your audience with this album?
Which bit of our audience?
A lot of people might think that it was, commercially, it was a mistake to record the Blur album.
Not here in America, it wasn't.
True.
Nowhere really, apart from England. People think that. We'd prepared ourselves really to sort of returning to where we were with Modern Life is Rubbish. You know, real die-hard fans would buy it, and we'd become a culty band again. You know? But that hasn't been the case. So. But mainly due to Song 2, which I had no idea was a single, and we did in like a couple of hours, really. You know, I barely kind of noticed that we'd recorded it. It was so quick.
So there was never any plan to release Song 2 as a...
No, I didn't want to release it. I thought it was just a kind of... It was one of the heavy, short songs that we'd have on the record. But I was completely wrong.
So do you think you've come almost full circle from the Seymour days?
I think we sort of lack a lot of the pretensions that we had. But, you know, I think Britpop... I'm pleased that I sort of am in some way responsible for a whole genre. You know, you can't sort of knock that. And songs like Part Life and Girls and Boys are amongst the best things I've ever done. I think you're at your most pop star-ish when you really want it, and you really think you're important, and you really think you can change the world in some way. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a time when anyone perceives you like that, you know, which is the tragedy of it. Yeah, I was definitely a pop star. I don't think I am now.
What's next now for Blur? Because done the British thing, done the American
work
thing.
Like that.
You're going to do...
I don't know, the salsa thing.
Yeah.